Hey everyone, welcome back to another day, day 24 of our 30 Days of Inspiration. This is Rabbi Moshe Rothschild coming to you from the lovely Judean hills just south of the city of Jerusalem and a little bit south of Bethlehem. So have a great day and enjoy lesson number 24. We know that the Torah tells us we have to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, on the Jewish New Year, and it's really the essential symbol of the day. And I remember as a kid growing up that when they blew the shofar, the person blowing it was in the center of the synagogue. All the kids gathered around. It was a very, very exciting moment. But what does the shofar symbolize? So it's very, very rich, and we've spoken about it already before, but there are many, many different interpretations and understandings of what the shofar is meant to impart to us. And one idea is expressed in the symbol that's part of the Torah reading of that day. The Torah reading on Rosh Hashanah, we read the part that speaks about what's called Akedat Yitzchak, or the binding of Isaac. And if you remember the story, Abraham is told to take his son Isaac to Mount Moriah and to bring him there up as an offering to God. And of course, you know the ending, that God tells him not to bring Isaac, and in Isaac's stead, he finds a ram caught in the thicket, and Abraham offers the ram to God. To remind us of Abraham's enormous dedication to God, we blow the shofar, which is supposed to recall the story because of its relationship to the ram's horn. But what is the deeper idea expressed in the Akedah, in the binding of Isaac? The idea is that if you think about what was going on in the ancient world during Abraham's time, human sacrifice was actually quite common. The idea of taking your own child and offering your child to God by sacrificing that child was not such an uncommon idea. As perverted as it might sound to us, it was actually fairly common in the ancient world. So what God tells Abraham at the binding of Isaac, right? He tells him, bring your son. And then in this incredibly dramatic moment, as Abraham is about to plunge the knife into Isaac's neck, God tells him to stop, because he wants to teach him in one extremely dramatic moment in history that God does not want us to serve him by dying for him. That God wants us to serve him by living for him, by living in a way that accords with God's will. And that is why in Rosh Hashanah, one of the reasons we blow the shofar and its connection to the binding of Isaac. It's meant to teach us at the beginning of the year that we have to spend the year living in consonance with God's will, not to become martyrs. As we see in the world today, unfortunately, you have radical Islam, where the idea of dying for God, giving up your life, and blowing yourself up has become something that's respected and honored in that world. In fact, there's a Jewish tradition that tells us when a soul is sent to this world, right, the soul is sworn in. It is told, Tehei tzaddik v'al tehei rasha. You are to live in this world and be righteous and don't be wicked. It's fascinating that it's an extreme. We're told to be righteous and not wicked. There's nothing in between. Similar to the verse in the Deuteronomy where it says, Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem bracha u'klala. Behold, I give you today blessing and curse, and there is nothing in between. That in Judaism, we have this notion that there's no concept of just being average. A person should not strive to not be a sinner, but a person needs to strive to be completely righteous. And every day and every year, every month, just to constantly be on this path of growth. And it requires enormous fire and passion in the soul. Now, there's one final thing I want to share with you. It says there are 3 books that are open on Rosh Hashanah. God has in front of him the book of life, the book of death, and the book of the Benoni, the average. And it says what happens on Rosh Hashanah. Those who are righteous go to the book of life. Those who are wicked go to the book of death. And those who are in between, we're not sure, goes into the book of the Beinonim, the average, and they're held over in abeyance for 10 days until Yom Kippur, where the final judgment is made. And if they improve, they go into the book of life. If not, they go to the other direction. The question is, what do we need this middle book for if no one remains in it other than for those 10 days. It's to teach us this message that no one is meant to stay in the middle ground. You're meant to move towards righteousness, because if you're not moving up in that direction, you're moving in the opposite direction. So that is the challenge, to realize that God gave you a soul in this world not to be average, but to be great, and to be in constant upward motion in pursuing spiritual achievements. There's no such thing as average when it comes to the world of the Spirit. Okay, that's all for today, folks. Have a wonderful day. And of course, as usual, I wish you the deepest blessings from the land of Israel, and we say goodbye with the wonderful music of Rabbi Shlomo Katz.
Well,